This is an e65 BMW, and the principle is the same for most cars. Have some spare brake fluid available. Make sure you match the brake fluid to the car's requirement. This happens to be .4, which is the correct requirement for an e65 BMW. Now in this car, the brake reservoir is in the top left corner, and all you need to do is remove this cover. There's a little filter here, and just pull that out. And if you have a look over there, there's the brake reservoir. So what you want to do is you want to open it, and you don't want to spill the brake fluid into the engine component. So I just want to put this little cloth here so that it can drip onto this cloth, and there you go. There is the brake filler tank. Now if you have a look at the tank, you can also at this point just inspect it. You can just see there's no cracks, there was no leaks. And just having a look at this oil, this is a little bit low. Actually did need a top up. And what you want to do is you actually want to fill it up right now. So you want to fill it up pretty high and almost overfilling it. Now I'm here at the rear right wheel, and it doesn't really matter which side you start. You could start in the front or the back, as long as you do all the wheels. Now what I'm doing is I'm locating the bleed nipple. Now this happens to be the brake wear sensor. So you need to open this. There's a little cap there, just pull that open, and in order to release or to open this brake nipple, or to you need to take this wear sensor off. So I'm just peeling it off there. There it is. Now if you're wondering why it's wet, I took a hose pipe and I just watered down the brake assembly. And the reason why is because you don't want brake dust getting in your nose. So you come with a hose pipe and you just water. That's why it's all wet on the grinder. Just spray the water to get any of the brake dust. When you're working here, you don't have brake dust in your face. Okay, so there you can see there's the nipple. And now you can fit your one-man bleeder on. What this is basically just a one-way valve so that air doesn't get back in the system. Now what I use is just a bigger pipe like that. Just put it on there, and there it will flow into this suction valve. If you don't have these things, it's fine, as long as you've got a pipe going into a bucket at the bottom here so that the oil can seep into this bucket. You don't want it dripping all over your assembly here. So all you need to do is slowly release this, and if you have somebody else who can pump the brakes. Now the reason why they pump it is as you release this, unfortunately air is going to go back in here. So you want someone to depress the brake pedal now while you release this, and as they depress it, they'll find that the brake pedal starts falling to the floor. It actually gets loose. Right, there you can see I'm pressing the brake right to the floor, and it goes to the floor because the nipple is open, allowing the brake fluid to flow all the way from the reservoir to the back right wheel. Which means that after a few pumps, you need to come and fill this up. Now you can see now I've already pumped half a tank, so the oil from here is actually making its way all the way to the back wheel because I started at the back. As I said, you can start in the front, so just top this up again. And then continue pumping. The first wheel you want to pump the most because you kind of want to flush that whole reservoir through the first wheel. And there you can see the oil is pretty dirty. The first flush will be the dirtiest because that's the old oil in the system, and as I said, try flush the most on the first wheel because you want to almost empty the entire tank while topping it up. So the equivalent of what one tank would be into the bucket, because that's the oil that's been standing there for a long time. And then you just tighten the bleed nipple, and not too tight. Alright, so you do this on every wheel. So this is now the left back, and you just tighten it, do not over tighten it. And now you do this on the front two wheels as well. Keeping in mind, each time you keep pumping and doing each wheel, you need to go and refill the reservoir. Don't let the reservoir get too low, otherwise you'll just get air in the system. And you do the front right and front left as well. Now, just something interesting, the front happens to be a size 11 spanner while the back is a size 9. Some cars have different front and rear bleed nipple spanner sizes. And just remember to keep topping up the reservoir. Right, when you're finished, you fill up to the maximum line, you put the lid on, and then after about 2 or 3 days with a bit of driving, you then come and recheck. You check that this level hasn't dropped significantly. It might drop a few mils, but it should not drop more than, say, 10 millimeters. And then you just check that it's still quite high, and if it's dropped quite a lot, just fill up the with the brake fluid to the maximum, and just go around and check all the bleed nipples that there's no oil leaks. Now, it's very important that you use fresh brake fluid. For example, if you look here, I've got half a liter left. Now, what you could do is put the lid on, and then in 2 years' time, you would be doing the brake bleed again. But this oil will then be deteriorated because it reacts with the air. So what you can do is just squeeze all the air out, and then you can reuse this. See, like that. Make sure there's no air in there, and now you can store it. Brake fluid mustn't be mixed with air. All right, so that's how you bleed your brakes. Make sure you've done all 4 wheels. Thanks for watching. Cheers.